This week, Avidyne works to solidify its place in the GNS430 replacement market. French accident investigators released their probable cause for the 2009 accident involving AirFrance Flight 447. I'm Ashley Hale. Welcome to Airborne on Aero TV. Well, you really gotta hand it to them. Despite a bad economy, an even tougher regulatory environment, and the industry doldrums, Avidyne seems bound and determined to innovate themselves past the worst of recent times. ANN has confirmed that Avidyne is introducing the IFD440 FMS GPS Navcom system with a hybrid touch user interface, taking on the 600-pound gorilla from Olathe, the plug-and-play replacement for legacy GNS430 series navigators. The IFD440 can reduce the installation costs and downtime for customers looking to add touchscreen or who are upgrading their aircraft to meet the higher precision requirements for SBAS, LPV, and ADS-B. The IFD440 in a dual system installation with another IFD440 or together with the larger IFD540 leverages Avidyne's Byte Flight data bus architecture for added interoperability and cross-sync functionality. The IFD440 and IFD540 also include terrain awareness and alerting as standard. The IFD540 has an option for integrating Class B TAWS functionality. The IFD440 has a retail price of $14,995, including tray and installation kit. And the IFD540 has a retail price of $16,995 with the same tray and kit. A 16-watt transmit power upgrade is $4,995 and available for 28-volt installations only. The integrated TAWS-B option for the IFD540 is an additional $7,995. Still struggling, Hawker Beechcraft late last week filed paperwork in bankruptcy court that establishes a framework for resolving the company's debts with its creditors and also how it plans to transfer ownership of the company to those creditors. The plan has the support of many of the parties involved, including HBC's largest creditors, as well as most of the financial institutions holding paper on the company, according to a report in the Wichita Eagle. In a letter sent to employees Monday, HBC CEO Steve Miller and Chairman Bill Boyster said the goal was to, quote, emerge from Chapter 11 in the strongest possible operational and financial position while preserving as many jobs as possible, end quote. They also need to reduce the total funded debt, which currently stands at over $2.5 billion. The paper reports that 60-day layoff notices went out to 125 HBC employees in Wichita last Friday, bringing the total number of idled HBC workers in the city to 906, and reducing the company's Wichita workforce to 4,100 employees. BEA, the French agency charged with investigating aviation accidents, has released its final report in the accident of AirFrance Flight 447, which went down in the Atlantic Ocean June 1, 2009, resulting in the fatal injury of all 228 people on board. In the report, which was presented Thursday by the director of BEA and the investigator in charge, BEA said the blockage of pitot probes by ice crystals in crews was a phenomenon that was known but misunderstood by the aviation community at the time of the accident. BEA said the cause of the accident was the temporary inconsistency between the measured speeds, likely as a result of the obstruction of the pitot probes by ice crystals that caused the autopilot to disconnect and inappropriate control inputs that destabilized the flight path. They also cited the lack of any link by the crew between the loss of displayed airspeed information and the appropriate procedure. The late identification of the deviation from the flight path by the pilot not flying and insufficient correction applied by the pilot who was flying. The report said the crew did not identify the approach to stall and did not immediately respond to the situation, resulting in a lack of inputs that would have made it possible to recover from it. You're watching Airborne on Aero TV. We're back with more in a moment, including this week's barnstorming commentary.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top two causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero TV, our website, or podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. If you're in the market for a new jetliner, you're not alone. According to the Boeing 2012 Current Market Outlook released Monday, the plane maker projects a $4.5 trillion market for 34,000 new airplanes over the next 20 years as the current world fleet doubles in size. The company's annual forecast reflects the strength of the commercial aviation market. Airline traffic is forecast to grow at a 5% annual rate over the next 2 decades, with cargo traffic projected to grow at an annual rate of 5.2%. The single-aisle market will continue its robust growth. Wide bodies will account for about $2.5 trillion worth of new airplane deliveries, with 40% of the demand for these long-range airplanes coming from Asian airlines. Robust growth in China, India, and other emerging markets is a major factor in the increased deliveries over the next 20 years, though the market for new airplanes is expected to become more geographically balanced over the next 2 decades. Boeing has revised its projection downward for freighters over the next 20 years. Still, the world freighter fleet is projected to nearly double from 1,740 aircraft today to 3,200 at the end of the forecast period. The military fleet's modular airborne firefighting systems, or MAFFS-equipped C-130s, are back in the air fighting western wildfires after a one-day grounding following a fatal crash over the weekend. 4 crew members were killed and 2 were injured when one of the aircraft crashed while fighting a fire in South Dakota last Sunday. A statement from the U.S. Northern Command said, quote, "Operational flying was suspended for 1 day to review flying and safety procedures in the context of what is known so far about the crash," end quote. The cause of the accident is still under observation. The crash was the first in the 40-year history of the MAFFS fleet. In his barnstorming commentary this week, ANN's editor-in-chief Jim Campbell says that this coming year may be among the most political, maybe ever, in the aviation industry. And here's why.
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, folks. Well, it behooves me to note, it's Thursday when I record this. Tomorrow morning is 1 week from when I actually depart for Oshkosh because we have to be on site a week ahead of time. I get a lot of data from you folks and a lot of requests, but let me bring up something really important. This is your chance. If you're going to Oshkosh, speak up. Be an active part of the community. Obviously, Rod Hightower is there. He's not hard to find. He's a very visible person, and believe it or not, easy guy to talk to. Let him know what you think. At the forums and the opportunities where he's speaking, make sure he knows what you have on your mind and where you want EAA to go. EAA right now is at a crossroads. There was an old EAA, a glorious one, amazing one, but there's a new one. And some of it's not sitting well with a whole lot of folks, and some of it is. Tell them what you think. Craig Fuller will be there. He'll be there in the AOPA tent. Ask them what they need all this money for, what they intend to do with it. And when they're not out running around telling everybody what a great time they're having in very expensive airplanes, when most of the people seem to think they should be back in Frederick doing some work, why don't you let them know where you see the agenda of AOPA needing to go? This is your chance. And finally, this is the week of Meet the Boss. The new boss or the temporary boss will be there. This is your chance to ask the administrator what you need to know. Tell them what you think. Be polite, be direct, but be vocal. Folks, speak up. Oshkosh is only a couple of weeks away. This is your chance to be heard and to redirect the future of aviation. Don't leave it all up to those of us with big mouths. Come on, do your thing.
Finally this week, unless they feature salmon, crab, or cod, tacos are not exactly a staple in the Alaskan diet. Go figure. Still, you can imagine the excitement in Bethel, Alaska, a town of 6,200 residents, when flyers suddenly appeared announcing that a Taco Bell was soon to open in their remote hamlet. You can also imagine their disappointment when the flyers proved to be just a cruel joke. That is, until some executives at the fast food company learned of it. They then launched their own Operation Alaska. A helicopter airlifted a Taco Bell truck to the tiny town, and it was loaded with 950 pounds of beef, 500 pounds of sour cream, 300 pounds of tomatoes, 300 pounds of lettuce, and 1,560 pounds of cheddar cheese. The makings of 10,000 of the chain's recently introduced Doritos Locos Tacos. But the joy will soon be gone from Bethel. Taco Bell officials say they have no plans to open a restaurant in the town. The nearest one is 400 miles away in Anchorage, Alaska, a long, cold trip by dog sled or snowmobile. Okay, now I'm really hungry, so I better wrap this up. Don't forget, we'll be bringing you live coverage of Oshkosh again this year with daily airborne programs, Monday through Friday, July 23rd through 27th at 8 p.m. Central Time. We hope you'll join us, and please remember that Airborne is now seen not once but twice weekly on Tuesdays and Fridays here on Aero TV. Thanks for watching. I'm Ashley Hale, and we'll see you next week.
Avidyne is the brand of choice for pilots who want innovative, easy-to-use avionics. And the new IFD440 GPS Navcom sets a new standard for simplicity in communication and LPV navigation. As a slide-in replacement for existing 530 series navigators, and with a highly intuitive touchscreen control, the IFD440 makes it much easier to access the information you want when you want it, reducing head-down time and making flying more enjoyable. Finally, you have a choice, and the choice is easy. Avidyne.